Hello, everyone. I talked to a few of you guys today, and you guys all mentioned that the videos that are made for Excel are helpful, but they're not very applicable to the exact graphs we are going to be doing. I think that you can apply a lot of the stuff to the graphs depending on what you're making, but I do think that maybe Excel's changed or knowing a different way how to graph them might come in handy. So I figured I'd make a video about how I like to do it. This might not be the way that the video explained it, and it might not be the most convenient way, but this is the way I've been doing it for the past few years. Um, Please bear with me. I don't like talking to my computer by myself. Okay, I'm gonna make this chart now. I'm gonna use the kinetics graph or the kinetics experiment to give an example, and I'm gonna make the times on the left here because it's gonna be on your x-axis, and then the volumes um, of O2, and that's gonna be in mils. I just am doing this because I want to demonstrate a little shortcut that will come in handy. Is when you are putting in like a large amount of numbers like this and they're all increasing by the same amount, you can highlight like three or so cells that you already inputted. And then if you go to the corner here, your cursor is gonna turn into a black cross, and you can just drag it down. I'm clicking on it, I'm not releasing it, and then I'm just dragging it down to 48. Of course, your times are gonna vary depending on who you are, so you have to put those in manually. But also, if you had to stop for whatever reason, just stop the volumes at whatever volume you had to stop at. Okay, but I already have my data all put in here from earlier. So what I'm going to do is select a blank cell. Each one of these squares is called a cell. I'm going to go up to the upper left here and press insert, and then over here to scatter. And then there's a lot of different scatter graphs. I always use the dots right here. That's what you're supposed to do, at least for these experiments. And you're gonna make a blank graph. What I do now, this is just for the first experiment right here, is go up to select data. And it's gonna look different depending on if you have a Mac and or Microsoft computer or depending on how old your Excel is, but this is what pops up for me. And I'm in just making one series for this graph, so one series, and then you can name it if you want. It's not going to be very important for this one, and you just want to do it for whatever you want the line to represent. And then the x values, this is where you're going to input all the data that you have for your times right on this left right here. If you press this little square, it's going to give you select the data source, and that will let you hover over the times and press enter. And then if you go to the y values, you can do the same thing, where in this case you're looking at the volume of O2. Press enter, and then you're going to press OK. And this is what mine looks like. If you can tell, there's the experiment one, it ended up being the title of the chart. It won't be like that all the time, especially if you're graphing multiple things. So I'm going to select the chart, press up here is go add chart element, axes titles just to so I don't forget what's what for now. You have to go back and do it manually each time. And then just so I don't forget, this is volume O2 in mils. The units are important here. At one point, you're having to make sure that you keep units in mind when doing the calculations. And then this will be time in minutes. And remember, if you haven't already, you have to convert your minute seconds to minutes, just minutes. So like in that case, 30 seconds would be half a minute. And so this is what it looks like without the trend line. And if you noticed in the procedure, they ask you for a tangent line, not a trend line. For future reference, you can put in a trend line by going to chart, add chart element to here, and then trend line and linear. The only thing with this now is you see that it's graphing the entire data set. And mainly we're just interested in this linear portion right here. So I'm actually going to select the trend line. In order to get the slope of this, you can double click it and then get the display equation on chart button right here. It'll pop up. But like I said, we don't want that right now. I deleted it. What we want to care about is just like that early tangent. And so it's not the most professional way to do it, but this is what your procedure calls. So if you press insert and then go to shapes, there's going to be a drop down menu, and then you just select this line, which is line. And if you notice, the cursor is now a plus sign, meaning that you're ready to draw it, and go from 0 to wherever you think your tangent stops. I'm going to say mine stops here. And this is just to show that you understand that this initial part right here is in a tangent formation. And what you're going to do to solve for the slope of this experiment is just select 2 points on your graph and use y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, rise over run, and you will find the slope. What I will do here for you, if this is a little, you don't have to do this, is if you put in a equation sign and then, what's my point? This is point 20, and this is, and then I am just calculating it myself. And because it's minus 0, I'm not going to input the 0. And so this will be my slope. If you go up to here, up to the numbers right up here, you can add and subtract the amount of sig figs just from this. This is not sig figs so much as it's just decimal points. And so this will be my slope for experiment 1. But like I said, not important. You can do that by hand if you want. And I'm going to delete this. Okay, and now for experiment 2 and 3, you're going to do it on the same graph. So again, I'm going to select a random cell, insert, scatter, and this time, instead of doing 1 series, I'm adding 2. First series, experiment 2. The x values are going to be, again, the time, and the y values are going to be my volumes. Same thing for experiment 3. Wait, oh man, see, this is a good mess up. I accidentally put the name. Very professional. Times and volumes. And then I'm going to press OK. And you'll see that that they're both graphed on this. The blue one will represent the experiment 2, and the orange is experiment 3. If you go up to quick layout, you can select the general layout of these. A lot of these are kind of not important for what we usually look at, so I don't usually do that, but at least now you can see right here, that's where the names go when you put in the names of the series. And you don't have to add the axis titles manually, but you do have to add the chart title. So chart title. And for this, you can just write something like chemical kinetics. I personally don't really care what you put for the chart title. Just make sure that you demonstrate that you have one. And then for the trend line, you go to the trend line and linear, and they're going to ask you which experiment you want the trend line to represent. So again, we don't have to do this. You also have to do the tangent for this one. So this is just an example where I'm just going to do 2 now, and the trend line for experiment 2 pops up. So I'm going to delete that again. Oh, not the entire graph. I'm going to double click the line and then delete it if I can. There you go. And I am going to, again, insert a line. Line. And again, it does not have to be perfect. If anything, it just shows that you understand the tangent. And you can change the color depending on which line you're graphing. Okay, I did that wrong. But there you go. And again, this line just shows that you understand the tangent. And I will say that you have to find the slope the same way where you rise over run. And I don't really care if you do a slope for this one. I think it makes sense. This one, not so much because it wouldn't be accurate. But if you find the slope using the trend line, I don't think it's going to alter your data too much. But you can just do rise over run. So again, that would just be, again, you don't have to do it like this. But for experiment 2, your last point would be this one minus your first point divided by your x value. And then this would be my slope. Woo! Okay. I hope that is helpful. Also, last one more thing is I personally don't care about your data tables when you submit your graphs. So I want to make my graph really big, and it looks really ugly now, actually. I'm going to move my line, and I'm going to, at least on Mac, like click with 2 fingers and save it as a picture. And you can, I don't know if LabFlow accepts PNGs, but you can save it as a PDF or a JPEG. I think they definitely accept PDFs, so you can do either of these two. But if you save it as a PDF, boom, you now have just the graph. And now you can upload that. Okay, I hope this was helpful, and I hope I wasn't whispering too softly. If you have any questions, you can also just email me. Okay, well, good day.